Premiering at the 2023 South by Southwest Film Festival, Evil Dead Rise, the fifth installment in the Evil Dead film franchise, sees a group of siblings and their mother uncover an ancient book that gives birth to bloodthirsty demons as they get stuck in their Los Angeles apartment building. This one's directed by Cronin and is an incredibly bloodthirsty sequel to the franchise. Art, I feel like you're the biggest Evil Dead franchise fan amongst us, so you probably had the most hype going into this one. All week you were insisting that I go, despite not really having a inclination towards these movies.
You liked it more than all of us.
And you loved it.
All right, so all week y'all called me a wimp, and then I said it was fine and did the job, and now you're like, oh, you're the Evil Dead fanboy all of a sudden.
We saw it, Zach. Because we saw it.
Well, you can't say that it wasn't a memorable night.
It was an extremely memorable night, and only partially because of your viral clip. But what did you think, at least, about the film?
I'm a big fan, obviously, of the originals. I think Sam Raimi is the GOAT, and it was awesome to see him there.
Yeah, even though they didn't ask him any questions during the Q&A.
He didn't even breathe into the mic, but it was so dope to see him and Bruce Campbell. So going into this one, I know a lot of people had questions like, oh, how is this continuing off previous ones? Is Bruce Campbell going to be in it? I don't know what we're allowed to answer there, but nothing. Like this is really a standalone, because when you search it up, you had mentioned it's the fifth one. You have The Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness. They dropped the for the 2013 one, which I really like, but they are considered both to be standalone films, meaning that the Evil Dead 2013 one, which I kind of like, it's gruesome, and that's why I kept pitching you to sit there. Feathers moved on to other things. So they got Cronin, an Irish director who's done a Sundance movie that we got to catch, which also kind of really relied a lot on the eeriness, the practicals, but I can't really say the story stuck with me. And I think we all agree with this one as well. They kill it when it comes to the gore. And the Deadites are something that's supposed to like really terrorize the people it's attacking. But they're really terrorizing the audience watching the movie more than it really affects the story.
Yeah, it's a punishing movie, and probably intentionally so, and that's not my personal favorite flavor of ice cream. But yeah, like I think if that is the thing that you're expecting from these movies, this franchise, then it meets the job. Like it meets the requirements, and it is a bloodthirsty movie. It is a sadistic movie. There's some pretty creative sequences. I particularly liked one that was shot through a peephole. But you know, it's not why I go to the movie. So I don't know how to even like talk about this one, because like I didn't enjoy my experience with it.
That's exactly it. My thing is that it delivers in one very specific area and then sacrifices everything else. And there are movies that do what this movie did better while also having a better story. Talk to me. Looking at you.
Fantastic.
Also at South by.
Also at South by, originally at Sundance, but like that is a movie that does everything that Evil Dead kind of wants to do, even the humor, better than this Evil Dead movie is doing, wrapped in a better package, wrapped in a more unique and interesting story that feels more culturally relevant without going too far into that direction. This just feels like, I've said it a couple times, and about some of the movies here, it kind of feels like a film student project with a budget.
Oh, I wouldn't say film student.
Maybe not film student. It's not as bad, but it's more like, because someone was like,
such
just
a big project.
Somebody's like, it's like someone said, just make this as bloody as possible and fuck those kids. You know,
franchise.
like you know,
it's the franchise fatigue that we're in. I don't even call it the fatigue. It's this franchise circle jerk that we've got going on that Scream 6 tried to call out while still kind of big, but that's for another podcast. This has that. It's trying to continue the Evil Dead franchise, and it will please a lot of people, but 100% you're going to have those who are going to be like, what is the purpose of this? This feels like that it almost run out on us. It's been too long since the last one, so we're going to have to remake another one because the rights are going to go away. And part of it feels like it's just doing the greatest hits of the previous ones, and I don't want to see the greatest hits.
I want to see the new.
I want to see what the next thing is. There is a big advertisement that they keep pushing here, and I'm sure we got a little bit of the stuff over here that you could see. They gave out, this
cheese grater.
Cheese grater. If I could just get that over there as well, Caitlin. They gave out these bags along with a poster that really pushed the cheese grater with these little bloody hands, and it's super creative. But they don't rely on this being the big thing. And I wish they did.
It feels like they decided after the fact that that's the thing they want to push in the marketing, and not like it wasn't that integral to the movie. It just
Yeah, to
stood
the point
out
that that's
some,
what they mentioned in the intro.
Yeah.
Probably because she saw that they were giving out
those
cheese
out,
graters
yeah.
and saw that the posters were a cheese grater. That scene was like, it was like 5 seconds.
But that's the better parts of the movie, the intro to the movie.
Right.
That's what I wanted to see throughout the whole thing. But then it kind of felt like, how do we take the model of what the original one was and try to make a new Ash? And look, it's already an uphill battle to do that.
It is.
This is a movie that's pitching it as almost like a Mother's Day horror movie.
Yeah.
Like what it's like to be a mother. And for that, if you guys know the name of the actresses, I don't
Lily
think...
Sullivan or Alyssa Sutherland?
Fantastic.
Yeah, they were great.
They go all out on their performances. Even if the writing isn't there, for you to care about them when something is happening.
Yeah.
Of course you care about the little girl because she's a little girl.
Right.
But when you're looking at her siblings, you want to know more about them, not just the person who plays with vinyls.
Yeah.
Because it needed for the story, you know?
It's the Rogue One thing. And don't give me that.
Franchises.
Don't give me that.
Thank you.
Don't give me that, because it's the quickest way for me to know that you are creating something disposable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't need to know that.
Yeah. But again, fans who are there for the horror, for the gore, I personally give it a junior price in terms of it being a matinee.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say day one, other than the fact that you want to be there to see everybody wince
Yeah,
and scream.
if you're a fan. Absolutely. It'll be so fun.
But you can also get that at home.
With the audience. I had fun with the audience.
Yeah.
So if you're a fan of Evil Dead, give her, because you might really like it depending on what you're in Evil Dead for. But if you're looking for something that's maybe building on the lore a little bit more, it just scratches the surface in a way that you're just going to be like, but why was that there? Then why did this happen? I want to know. I want to know more. Like, get me more of that.
It's also not going to supersede any of the other ones.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I saw the trailer and thought that would just be like an uncomfortable, unhappy experience.
And it was.
I was not wrong.
Yeah,
in my
if that's what you like.
For those who want that, yeah.
And some people do like that. Some people specifically like going out of their way to find the most fucked up things to say, that didn't bother me.
Exactly, yeah. Like, it really is. Like,
Which is fine.
the trailer is not tricking you. If you think it looks like a great time, it's going to be a great time. If you think that looks awful, it's going to be awful.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, like, it's weird because, like, I do want to give it like sort of a positive review because they accomplished what they went for. I just don't want to go with with them.
It could have been
It could have been
packaged in a better
and
story.
you're right. And Talk to Me is a great comparison because it goes for a lot of very similar feelings.
For all those characters.
Does way much more with it.
And it's still gruesome. It's still creative. It's still going to satisfy that bloodthirst.
It hits more because you care about them.
It also, like, Talk to Me is a movie that I took out of the movie theater, right? Like, I walked home with it.
Yes.
Evil Dead, I wiped my hands clean with it as soon as it was over.
Yeah, it didn't scare me at all. Whereas, like, Talk to Me, when I was done watching that, I had to go upstairs for something, and I was like, I'm going to go back downstairs. I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't like where I am right now. And like this, it was gone. The second it was done.
Sound design wise, I will say that they had some really crazy mixes in there. A lot of really creepy stuff, especially dealing with liquids, dealing with yankings of skin and such. But there were points where it was just too loud.
How much of that do you blame on the Paramount?
No. So we sit in the same seats every single time. So we have been adjusted to a lot of the sound. It's Dolby mixed in that theater. There were scenes that were too loud.
I had to plug my ear for a couple
I
times.
will go back and rewatch the movie in my own setup at home that will be tuned even more so. But I can guarantee you that was too loud because we saw other horror movies in there. We saw other comedies and action films. There were points where it was loud for no reason. Let me put that to the side. Maybe it was my broken ears. It's not my broken eyes when you have a character who just squeals for 11 seconds. That is a very long time to be squealing in front. And I'm going faster here before I even reach the 11.
Right.
And again, that's almost like to agitate the audience. Right when it began, the director decided, if you don't like it, pull up. Pull up then. Someone did.
Someone did. Someone tried.
Did I talk about that at all?
It was
one of the most exciting audience Q&A things that happened here, even if it was a little bit ridiculous. In that, as soon as the Evil Dead Rise Q&A starts, this dude over in the like fancy balcony seats starts arguing with a volunteer, says something about like how he makes six figures.
The only thing we can maybe see is that he might have had his feet up. And then she might have been like, "Excuse me, sir, can you take your feet down?"
He was knocked out. He was snoring.
Yeah.
That's when they noticed him and they laughed at him right at the beginning of the Q&A.
Right.
That's when I took my phone out and started zooming in.
Wait, I don't know if he was snoring. I thought he was already yelling at that point.
He was snoring. He was out like this. The lady goes and taps him.
Right.
He wakes up. He yells at her. Starts belittling her because of however much he makes. He starts talking about the amount of money he got paid because he's a part of the marketing team. He is drunk. There's been a lot of people saying that, oh, well, if he did part of the marketing for something else, then this is marketing as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't think WB would be hiring somebody who keeps calling the movie woke and hates females who are coming in, there's a certain part where that marketing is going to hurt them. He was like, he was calling the security guard online the C word, which I ain't gonna say here to get belittled.
Like no one's getting paid to do shit like that.
Even a bit above and beyond.
And if you were being paid to do the marketing, wouldn't they let you see the movie?
Exactly, right? You don't
the
have
idea is like, was he trying to get a moment?
make a viral moment.
Make a viral moment.
But I don't think he went too far in the other.
I think WB wouldn't pay somebody. The host who was moderating did not know about it.
Exactly.
So that's also getting to the territory of it being rude if it was a punked moment.
And also, like, being that rude to Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi, like, I can't imagine anybody on the Warner Brothers team.
He didn't care. Bruce got to have his, like, get the fuck out of here.
Another one to his montage, yeah.
Yeah. Right. If anything, would have been the moment that made me think, oh, maybe it is staged, because he was just really ready with that. To get the fuck out of here. But, like, no. Either way,
if it does look,
rude.
a lot of people are going to agree with him. I just think it's still rude to do that.
You're still an asshole. And
his
his behavior on Twitter confirms.
That's
the thing.
You can go see it.
That's the thing.
He's proud of it.
He's proud of it. My favorite though is that when you finally get him to leave, throwing the popcorn bucket, he tried to flip the popcorn bucket like out of the booth, and it just literally flipped up and landed in the exact same
That would have been funny
spot.
if he was walking around with the bucket.
Yeah,
Like
homie was drunk, and then he's leaving. He's like leaning over the balcony, giving people the middle finger.
Obviously, the clip's up on Art's Twitter if you want to actually see what happened.
I'm surprised security did not get there as fast as I thought they would have. I'm like, man, if that was somebody with a weapon, they would have had like a 30-second head start. Like,
that's the rudest part, because it wasn't to the cast, for sure.
Yeah.
It was to the workers who are there. You know, before every screening, you clap for the volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And no movie is that bad that it deserves that kind of treatment.
Very
However,
rarely you can find
he will be a hero for many people. It's meme worthy.
Exactly.
It is meme worthy.
And it was cool to have that little moment.
So it's like I guess a mild recommendation on Evil Dead Rise. Like if you know what you're getting into.
If you know what you're getting into. If you were a horror fan, if you're a horror fan that specifically really likes your bloody movies, I thought it was really funny because Bruce Campbell's complaining about like things like, not complaining, but saying that he's glad that things like Hostel are done. This is way closer to something like Hostel
than same thing.
Yeah, than half the horror movies coming out.
Just because it's a demon.
Yeah,
makes it no
they're
different.
like, well, there's torture porn, and I'm like, yeah, maybe you don't have any like Achilles tendons getting cut or stuff, but like, there's a couple scenes, and I'm like, it basically is torture
cheese
porn.
grating. Come on.
Yeah, it's less somebody specifically being tortured, but they're being mentally anguished upon, and like, it's the same thing. So if you are into that kind of stuff, if you miss the days of old of just these like bloodbath movies, this will probably do it for you. But if you're someone who likes a horror movie that has like maybe a bit more like substance, or even something like Scream, which is like your funny slashers that don't go like so far in that direction, like this probably will not do it. Honestly, I'll take Scream 6 over this movie any day of the week. Any day of the week. I'm telling you guys, in a month, just try sitting down. Okay, which one would you sit down and watch again? If you had to pick, dead to fucking rights, gun to your head, which one would you want to watch again?
Gun to my head.
Yeah. Gun to your head. Okay, Scream 6 was not that bad. It has problems, but it was not that bad. I will take Scream 6 over Evil Dead. I might take Scream 5 over Evil Dead Rise, and I hated Scream 5, but that's how much I did not enjoy watching Evil Dead Rise.
So outside of the festival, y'all wouldn't recommend leaving the house?
No.
If you're a fan, there's probably there's a bunch of people there's a bunch of people I know. I'd be like, absolutely, you're gonna fucking love it.
But personally,
for me, I almost left at one point just because like it got a little bit too intense in areas.
It's not going to surprise you.
It's not going to surprise you. It's not going to do anything that you're like, whoa. Whereas Talk to Me is going to surprise you.
It did deliver on the gore.
It delivers on the gore.
I just wish it delivered on the characters a little bit more.
That's exactly it. I just need more substance.
Lily Sullivan was also in another movie. Monolith people, if you have a link, send it over.
Monolith.
She is leading Monolith.
She's the only one.
And that's how I know that it's all on the script, because she could put on a performance.
And she did good with what she was given.
Exactly.
And so did Alyssa Sutherland.
Yeah,
they did great.
Cleared. Yeah.
It's just there was like moments that you're like, even the Deadites, I'm like, you're supposed to like really tap into something that's like really bad, and like the most you can do is call someone a whore. Like, I don't like.
Oh, that's one thing that we came out of it, is that we were saying like, you could tell when it's made by somebody who's just like, what's the meanest thing to say? Okay, but that just sounds like an insult by a stranger. Talk to Me has moments where it's like, that was you crossed the line.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted to get out of this movie. That's what I think you get out of other Evil Dead installments.
That was lacking here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, really? That's the worst thing you could think to call somebody? Like, come on. Like, who amongst us hasn't been called a whore?
It could have been worse.